years ago, I left my director job and said goodbye to corporate innovation. I was done with corporate life, and even more so with corporate innovation. I was hating the problems I'm sure many of you here today know all about. The constant politics and turf wars, the fight for resources, never getting anything started, not meeting new needs or new trends, lack of passion and drive, and even more politics. I left to be free, and it was great. So when FinStart Nordic and SR-Bank came to me and said that they were setting up a new investment and innovation company and asked me if I would run the innovation part, my first answer was, nope, I'm not going back to corporate. But I'm here, so what happened? Well, I came to see that FinStart's suggestion was something different. It was a new approach to corporate innovation, and I really wanted to try it. To understand what I mean, let's have a look at how innovation can be organized in big companies. In this figure, I have two dimensions. One of them is creative freedom, or freedom of thought. The other one is closeness to core business. Both are important to succeed, and you need to get the balance right. I've put in-house innovation on the left, close to the business. But that closeness can also cloud your perspectives. On the right side, you have innovation more fueled from external partners or agencies. It gives you fresh perspectives, but you can lack ownership. I had tried both of these, but I had never tried what FinStart was proposing. Innovation set up as an independent operational unit in the family, with its own team and its own resources, and the mandate to focus purely on new biz, trusted to operate on its own and governed by a board of directors representing key SR stakeholders. It was really too tempting not to try. So after a year, I have to say that it works, and I'm here to share some of the benefits that I believe this model gives to corporate innovators. First, it gives you the power to redefine your game. You can expand your playing field and develop new strategies on how to stay relevant to consumers and meet competition. Let me show you how SR uses FinStart to redefine itself. SR is one of the biggest banks in Norway, but it's still a small player with a traditional set of products and services. So the original playing field is quite small. However, when talking about innovation within financial services, the field is much bigger, and it's filled with challengers who might be better at serving consumer needs, who might be better at their tech solutions, and who often combines both. By setting up FinStart, SR are giving themselves the means to target the wider market in new ways, more specifically through investing and venture building. By investing, we get a stake in other interesting companies, and through building, we can seize new opportunities on our own. It's a brave move and an experiment I encourage others to do. Next, I want to talk about how we're purely focusing on new biz. FinStart is not set up to do incremental innovation. We are here to establish completely new businesses. Those of you familiar with Clay Christensen will recognize this framework. FinStart is up here, and we're about seeing what's next. We look at emerging trends, behaviors, and technologies. We make sure that SR do not miss out on stuff that might not represent big business today, but could do so in the future. To do this, we work user-centric, and we have established a couple of groups where we see new behavior and emerging needs. Here's a couple of them. Teenagers. Today, they're fully digital. They cannot remember a world without smartphones. They also get a debit card, often as early as the age of 10. How can we meet this new group? Freelancers. An increasing amount of people choose to or are forced to do freelance work. They are not getting a fixed monthly income. How does this drive the need for new banking services? Conscious consumers. Climate and sustainability are major concerns for many of us today, and we deliberately choose green. How will this influence finance? Will people demand green-saving alternatives? We're also having a look at our own industry. Fintech is growing, and the people in the industry will not accept old-school enterprise systems. Today's fintech workers want clever digital solutions. Can we play a role here? This is actually the backdrop for our very first venture, Before. Before is an anti-money laundering platform. It's launched under its own brand, it's its own company with its own team. And it's brought to market in its own right, true to our mission of creating completely new businesses that can drive fintech. Before is now being piloted with the crowdlending platform Monner, and getting pilot customers early is an important proof point for us to help validate that we're making businesses that deserve to live. My next point is about getting things started. And I know that many of you will say that innovation is about getting stuff out in the market, but if it never starts, it doesn't get out either. So having our own team and budget allows us to explore quite vague ideas and get them going quickly. It's a blessing and a success factor. Because where does innovation actually start? I don't believe that it starts with a strategic brief. I believe it starts with a vague notion, an inkling based on insights, a problem, or a hunch. And I believe that it's necessary to give these inklings room to mature. So you need a setup where you have a team that can readily explore new ideas and then see if they have value. So in our process, we put a lot of emphasis into these early explorations. And the purpose is to see if we can prove the value of the idea. And as we move further into the funnel, we start building knowledge. And this goes all around the place. It's not linear, as you also know. But when we make our critical decisions, we have some learnings to stand on. And that is where we have our resource discussions on what to take further. My next point is on team. I'm sure you all strive to have a good team culture. I have a different point to make. You need people who want skin in the game. So this is my teammate, Christopher. He's an employee at FinStart, and he's a co-founder of Before. As you can see, Christopher has no trouble taking lead. So why is the distinction between employee and co-founder important? Because you need the people with the drive, passion, and grit to make something new come to life. And if they know how to do that, why would they work in your company? Why wouldn't they just set up on their own? So FinStart can incentivize people different to SR. A regular SR employee might not be triggered by owning shares in a startup, but the people we need surely are. A few years from now, I am sure Christopher will sail away and start something on his own. But in the meantime, I get to create great stuff with him because he is invested in our work. And it's not just about recruitment. It also does something with our team spirit. Our success will not lead to a management bonus. It is the team itself who stands to win or lose. My last point is using domain knowledge smartly. I believe access to domain knowledge is vital, but it needs to be managed in the right way. I am not a banker. I'm a blue sky thinker, and I could never do fintech on my own. Finance is very regulated, as many other fields also are. The right industry networks and the right industry insights are often required to succeed. With domain expertise at an arm's length distance, you can control it wisely. The point is that it should never be used to stop ideas. It should always be used to make ideas stronger and better. And being an independent unit makes it easier for us to get this balance right. So, let's take a moment to summarize. I've been going through some of the benefits I see in organizing corporate innovation as a separate unit, and I've been using FinStart as the example. I've talked through these points: the power to redefine your game, focus on new business, actually getting things started, a team with skin in the game, and using domain knowledge smartly. So all of those are very good things, right? Well, guess what? Nobody's perfect. Of course, we also have areas that challenge us and that we struggle with. And I'll mention one of them before I wrap up. And that is risk. How do you calibrate risk-hungry entrepreneurs with careful bankers? How do you make the safety junkie and the risk-taker see eye to eye on decisions? At the moment, we're a little bit too far from each other. I'll share an example. We're proposing to establish a new company within green finance, but it's not yet been approved because we can't prove that it will make money fast enough. Well, startups can take years to make money, but bankers are trained to look for secure financial return. So we need common ground, and to get there, we're doing two things. Our team are getting better at highlighting the other values a Kate might have. For instance, engagement, early exposure to a market, customer acquisition, and brand value. And we're also bringing new knowledge to our board. This week, we had our board members meet other venture capitalists. It was eye-opening, and it sparked a lot of good discussions. So working with conservative bankers make our situation around risk a bit special. But I also believe there's a universal challenge here. How the stakeholders in your company views risk and how you can establish a view that benefits innovation is important in any industry. So that takes me to the finish. I used to hate working with corporate innovation because I was tangled up in all of this. But that has been replaced with this. And I'm very happy now with my job. And I hope that you are too, because as ending words, I would say I hope that my talk has sparked some thinking that could lead to meaningful change in your organization if you're struggling with anything I've talked about. Because innovation really is too important to be left to the startup scene alone. We need big companies that can challenge themselves and keep bringing value to consumers. To put it bluntly, corporate innovation matters, and a different approach is possible. Thank you.